Hi guys, this is Marcelina Titi and welcome back to my show at Nigeria Hustle. With me today is Dr. Olubayo Adekanmbi. He's the founder of Data Science Nigeria. He's also the Chief Transformation Officer at MTN Nigeria. Dr. Olubayo will be speaking to us about AI technology, data science, and how we can use it to move our business into the world of technology and become more profitable. So stay tuned as he talks to us about this technology, as well as his book called The Future is Shared. Okay, welcome, Bayo, to the show. We're so excited to have you on. I can't explain my excitement. So thank you for honoring our invitation. We welcome you.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Marcelina, for having me today.
So, Bayo, we're going to jump right to the questions. My first question is, what is data science all about? I ask this because maybe the regular folks are thinking this is too complicated for me to comprehend. How do you break it down for the regular guy to understand?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I think we need to look at it in the everyday life. I don't know how many people have observed when you are typing on your phone. You're typing, let's say I want to type, house. As soon as you type HOU, it completes it for you. You're asked, how did you know? Now, Google does it as well. That these days you just see, you are writing a mail and it seems as if Google Gmail has completed it for you. Or perhaps you are browsing, and after maybe you are traveling, you are browsing for hotels, and before you know it, you start seeing some bookings, some travel packages, some vacation. You begin to ask, what is happening around that so many things are being joined together around me? Now, the whole principle of data science is science of making sense of data. That each of us has different data around us, which of course today is actually trackable and traceable because they are done through a single platform, maybe your mobile device, your laptops, or perhaps many of us that have personal device that we keep on our body, like personal tracker that track how full you move around. Now, all these things collate a lot of information. And from this information, there can be deduction of meaning that can drive action. Let me give you a simple example. You are a very busy professional, and you have something in your body that checks your body temperature all the time. You may not have time to see a doctor, but the power of data is that data checks your body temperature, checks how often you sleep, how long you sleep, how often you shake in your bed, what is the increase in your sweat level per time, and then use those data, their information, but it makes sense out of it, and make a decision that Marcelina is due for a medical checkup. You may not know, but the information makes sense, their data makes sense to this machine. And what the machine does, instead of bothering you, the machine calls the doctor on your behalf and books a day for you. And then you get a call from the hospital, for example, saying, Marcelina, we're expecting you the next 3 days for a check. Amazing. You say, what is happening? That is how, because I want to be very practical on how data can help us live a better life, because it has a special way of organizing truth that we may not even know in a structured and organized way to make sense. And those meanings can drive impactful decisions that will increase our quality of life. And the way it is important for quality of life is also usable in driving business profitability, because you can know customers better. A customer that is likely to leave you, the one that will stay, you know it, you manage your finances better, and you run your life better. Even in education, if a child does not do well in a particular sort of question, we bring another question. So we have what we call personalized learning, adaptive learning that makes learning more personal and engaging. So the whole theory of data science is the ability to make sense of all the everyday information that is around us that ordinarily do not make sense. But when we're able to structure them together, what we call algorithm, that's a big word, but the way you join it together, as if you are cooking food, you buy rice, you buy beans, you put pepper, that process of bringing it all together, that it becomes a nice food on the table, is the whole process of data science and engineering.
Brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff. So that brings me to my next questions. How did you get involved in data, AI technology and data science?
Okay, I think my journey, I started my career as a data analyst, early 1999, 2000. I started as a data analyst, and then I was analyzing, I started first by analyzing body samples to find patterns. And later I joined a marketing analytics company uh, called One to One, the first data marketing organization in Nigeria. And then I was analyzing data, finding patterns. And then we're working for banks, FMCG, finding patterns. So that was where I started my career as a core analyst. But of course, as I evolved, I moved into strategy, which is using the data to make strategic decisions. So I went into marketing, communication, brand strategy, and all that. And then at a time in my life, 2011, I developed a new love for where I started from data. So I went back to, then joined MTN in South Africa to work as a data person, data analyst. And that was where I started again in 2011, rose through the rank until 2014, when I was General Manager Business Intelligence, managing the largest consumer database in Africa to understand patterns and all that. Then sometime in 2014, early 2014, I took interest in data science because I saw that what we were doing was like a primary school analysis. Because then we were the one analyzing the data. Data science is data interpreting itself by itself in an amazing way, such that you can analyze all kinds of data, not just zeros and ones. You can analyze stories. For example, if I go to social media, all the posts that were posted in Nigeria today, what are the common themes, common words, common patterns that I share? I felt that there's a new skill set. So I took it on myself that I need to learn it. And when I Googled, I saw, it might require some academic requirements. And that was when I registered for my PhD. Because as a professional, I always desire to be in the cutting edge of my area of specialization. Of course, it's also required me to take some time off. So I took a sabbatical. I was in London City University to do extensive research and work around use of big data, to understand consumption behavior in certain particular area of consumer activity. So from there, I got to know a lot about what artificial intelligence is all about and all that. And in 2016, I came back to Nigeria and I told myself, the best I can do for my country is to share this good news. Why? It is a critical skill of the future. Most modern technology of the future will be data-driven, including self-driving cars and many other things that will happen. I felt Nigeria may be disadvantaged if we do not start embedding the skill now. So in 2016 November, after just a month after I go back to Nigeria, we started data science in Nigeria. And from there, I started training a lot of people on data science. Glad to say today, we're the biggest platform where students across Nigeria. We have 40 learning centers in Nigeria, from Sokoto to Yobe, to Calabar, to Abeokuta, where students are learning. We have won a lot of global awards. We have products that we have made, and we have demonstrated that indeed, Nigeria is a place of talent, and they only need to be supported. And with the right support, we can be ready to make things happen.
Very interesting stuff. Because it feels like I just have some gray hair with all the books, all the studying and research you've done. Well done, Mr. Bayer.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask you something very specific. How can AI strategically affect an economy positively? I mean, you mentioned a few things, but
okay.
More specific.
Now let's come to financial inclusion, for example. There are many people that want to collect loans today, but they are evaluated based on their being tracked. So if you do not have banking history, you cannot collect ordinary 10,000, which is what some people need to set up a neighborhood shop. Just 10,000, that's what they need. But because they are people we call free file segment, that is, they don't have files that bank can use to make a decision for them. So they do not have access to loans based on how banking industry has defined its approach to supporting certain people. Now, with artificial intelligence, I can give loans, for example, to those low-income people using what we call proxy data. What are proxy data? What you do on your phone is an example. How many messages, how many people do you call, for example, shows that you are alive. The location where you are making the call also give me an idea of where you are likely going to be found. So it means that you are existing. So if I'm able to manipulate this data, I can understand, and I look at how you recharge, for example. Okay, this person recharges 50 naira every day. So this person has the potential to pay back 20 naira every day. So I can give this person a loan of 5,000 naira. And that is why in Nigeria today, we have massive invasion of fintech companies who are offering loans to low income using traditional channels that is outside how much you keep in the bank. They're using your phone behavior. They're using your social media network. For example, if I see that you're active in social media, you have people around you, it means you exist. It means that you will not default. So therefore, if I map all their dots, and I also look at what you say on social media, are you someone that sounds responsible? Are you someone, and all these are done by artificial intelligence. I do not need to have 100 people who are reading your messages one by one. Artificial intelligence will just glean through, look at your keywords, some name entity recognition, and say, oh, this person, shows some religious tendencies because on a consistent basis, it uses these terms. This person looks like somebody who spends a lot because he's always in different places based on what he or she posts. So people can have access to loans, that they need to drive live demands. Now, let's come to big businesses. It will interest you to know that a business like Amazon, Amazon.com, makes 2/5, that's 40% of his profit, of his revenue from what we call recommender engine. What is recommender engine? You go to Amazon to buy a book. The book is The Black Dog. As soon as you click that you want to buy The Black Dog, immediately it brings some things for you. The Dog That Wants to Be Black is another book, or How to Make Dog to Become Black, or Why a Dog Should Not Become Black. And you see those additions. Those things are called recommendation. And recommendation is based on same principle of artificial intelligence. It's a recommender engine. So it throws up those names. When you see, oh, yes, I say, okay, maybe I should buy this one. I should have this one. So in doing that, people buy more. And of course, this is a company that adds to the tax value of America. So because people buy more, there's an economic value that is added. Those are just preliminary. Now let's move into the mainstay of Nigeria or African economy, which is agriculture. Today, if I want to fertilize my farm, I can buy 10 bags and just pour it everywhere because I want to fertilize or I want to use a pesticide. Now, using the power of artificial intelligence, I can dispense my fertilizer at the level of every single leaf. I give to each leaf based on their colors. So which means that this leaf does not need fertilizer. It is growing well, so I should not waste my fertilizer. It is the next one. Interestingly, there is a big company in South Africa called Aerobotics. What they do is to use the power of AI to help farmers to dispense pesticide and fertilizer. So the implication is that our agricultural yield will improve because we are more precise, we are more scientific, and of course, we are also able to use AI to drive out the product, get to the market, so that the people that will buy it, we know when they will need it, we know when each plant will be ready for harvest. It's no longer waiting for when the wind will blow or when some insect will pass. It's no longer using the old methodology. The science of data, the science of AI will help farmers. So with all these incremental possibilities, it has direct impact on quality of life, productivity of every person, which of course cumulatively add up to the gross domestic product of every nation. Interestingly, a report was published by PwC that says that by 2030, artificial intelligence will have about 13% additional value to the global gross domestic product, to the global economy. So that is how impactful it will be in every area, whether in farming, whether in agriculture, in financial inclusion, even in manufacturing, because everybody becomes more precise. Because AI allows for that level of precision. Of course, medicine is another big case where AI can help us to discover ailments faster. And of course, people that could have died, we keep them alive and they add more value to the economy, for example.
Yeah.
So those are
sorry to cut you short. I had a guest who has a cerebral palsy center in Lagos because there's no center funded by the government. She started it because she had a child who she adopted. And she said to me, there's no database for people like this in our society. So how does the government track families who have this problem? How do we support them? How do we provide help? You know, and then I'm thinking, this is interesting stuff because really, there's no data. You can't say in Lagos, we have this number of people and this is the quality of life and this is what they need to support them so that we can bring those people back into society. So you're saying now that with AI technology, we should be able to do that.
Exactly. With AI technology, we can track people. We can understand mobility. For example, during COVID-19, there was a project I did, trying to understand the mobility of people, the effectiveness of the lockdown. For example, the best way to predict the location where you might have infection is who has moved to that area and where is that person coming from. Since it's person to person. So AI allows us to know how people are moving, what is the economic, social, and of course, health implication of movement. Because sometimes we do not quantify the implication. For example, if more people are moving towards an area in the evening, then those areas require more infrastructure, for example. They need more power, they need more, more services. Of course, they also need more roads because more people are going there. So through artificial intelligence, we can do effective data counting. Interestingly, there are even more technology today that we can use the power of satellite, which is also AI power, to understand how people are moving. For example, there is something we call night light data. So which is that from the satellite, if you take a picture of Nigeria, you will see where light is concentrated and where there's no light. Effectively, areas where certain kind of people are living and an area where certain kind of people are not living. And there's something called carbon, there's something called carbon dioxide concentration. That is what we breathe out. Through the power of AI, we can, and all of us breathe it out. So if there are 10 people, the quantum would be more or would be less compared to when there are 100 people. And if there are 1,000 people, the quantum of carbon dioxide will be higher. Today, through the power of artificial intelligence, I can almost use those kind of technology to know how many people are concentrated because I can take data points using a drone that flies around. And the drone tells me at this particular coordinate, I was able to sense more carbon dioxide more than that area. So it tells me that more people are living there. So it makes planning more effective. I know where people are, and then it helps government, to support them in terms of welfare and other social schemes that make for a better life.
Thank you very much. Very, very insightful. In today's, we talk about the world moving towards a data future where everything is done through data. So how do we then mitigate the risk of data being used wrongly in today's environment, which is something the whole world is struggling with?
I fully agree with you. With great power of data comes a great responsibility, like a popular American president paraphrased. There's a lot of problem with data. Imagine if people can hack health data, plain data, they constitute very huge risk. There's a way I always say, I see it in two ways. We weigh the advantages against the disadvantages. And when we know the disadvantages, we ask ourselves, what can we do? It's like plane. Plane is risky, but we fly it.
Yeah.
Cars are risky, but we fly it. Yeah. Data can be risky, but we must use it. But in doing that, we must provide right governance. And that's why today we talk about data security, cyber security. How do you protect your data? Every man must understand what their data represent and must be empowered to be able to protect their data. And that is why, platforms like this must allow people to know that your data is in your oil. And so you must protect it. You must keep it. Yeah. People must know that. What information do you drop on social media? What information do you drop everywhere? I just bought a car I just bought this, I just bought that. Of course, advertisers will follow you as you post those things. Number two is that there must be national data governance. Of course, many countries, including Nigeria, in Europe, we talk about GDPR. In Nigeria, we have NDPR. It is a policy that empowers people to manage their data footprint and how their data can be used, which means that all the data must be anonymous, they must be de-identified. The last but not the least is that a new skill set must be built in our country around data security. It's actually a new career path where we raise a new set of people who have competencies in helping businesses, small and medium enterprises, and even individuals to be able to protect their data through better security, better archiving that ensures that data is properly stored. Of course, there's also issue around national residence, which Nigeria is driving. That if the data is for Nigeria, then let it stay in Nigeria, because the data has now become a national asset that cannot stay in another country. So if Nigeria has data, let it stay in Nigeria. We call it data residency now. So it's already been implemented in many parts of the world. So clearly we understand that with data comes certain risk, and with those risks being identified, there are schemes, approaches, and mechanisms being deployed to ensure that we're able to protect ourselves as individuals, as businesses, and of course, as government.
Okay, that's true. I sometimes we're too lazy. We just click accept all, accept cookies, accept. We know the risk, but we really need to get that information, so we just accept it and move on.
All right.
So my next question brings me to your book. I find it very fascinating. I'll tell you something very short. I used to get really very bad migraines, and then my doctor said, you walk too much, you need to find something to relax. So I read a lot, but when I started walking, I dropped reading. So I said, okay, find something relaxing to do. So I picked up reading romance novels, so if I get stressed, I pick a romance novel and I read through. But I bought your book and I find myself enjoying it. I'm reading. It's so easy, but the information feels like, oh my God, so that's what that is. So that's what we've been doing. It's such a brilliant book. So well done. Now, the name of your book is called The Future is Shared. And my next question brings me, my question is supposed to be like, can you please share with us your views on share economics? But I want to read something out of your book that I found fascinating. You talked about homo sharers, and then you made a comparison about how Airbnb are more successful today in comparison to traditional luxury hotels that we're used to, all because of the sharing economy, the sharing mechanism. And then you cited a customer intelligence platform that worked with over 650 brands around the world. And they stated that access, luxury, convenience, pricing, sustainability, and altruism are combined drivers of a sharing economy. There's something else that actually got me thinking, and I started laughing. I was like, seriously? You wait further, then you start talking about, you made an analogy about successful businesses like BlackBerry, Nokia, Kodak, how they are being pushed back to history. And the sharing economy is shifting all that. It's shifting all that so that it's making, when you look at company, you said, you made a compelling case about how the world's largest taxi company owns no vehicle, that's Uber. And then you said the world popular media owner creates no content, Facebook. I'm laughing, I'm reading that. I'm like, okay, that's very true. And then you said the world's largest retailer has no inventory, Alibaba. And it goes on and on, Netflix, Google, and you're like, that's very interesting. So how do you explain this sharing economy? Because it feels like something that's been in Africa for a while. We've been doing it. We have a sharing society. But so has that been there all the time, or did we just, it's a slow shift, the whole world is catching on to that and turning it into business, or how did that happen? And we didn't know about it.
Okay, thank you very much for bringing to bear one of the books I wrote as part of my PhD on sharing economy. Now, I think the fundamental principle is that we are an organic being. There's something we call Ubuntu. It's an African essence, which means I am because you are.
Yeah.
You are because I am.
Mm-hmm.
So in our genetic makeup, we are in our social configuration, we exist through others. We see the world through others. And that organic solidarity largely shape who we are. We are a product of other people, as a society. So, and that has been the way we have shaped our life. Prior to now, I need yam, but I have rice. I find the man who has got yam and we exchange. So I get what I need because I belong to a community. If I have a farm and I need to, start my farming season, it's a large expanse of land. If I were to be the only one that's working on that farm, I might do it for like 3 months. And before I know it, the farming season is over. I cannot plant again. But if there are 30 farmers, all of them can decide that we'll go to each person's farm every day and we do the same work for everybody, and everybody enjoys the benefit of everyone, working together. So everybody's working somewhere every day and everybody's having fun doing it. Now, this has been integral to our nature as Africa, where we do things together. What has changed? Those things that we do is about data points. How do I know the person who have excess and the person who does not have? In traditional Africa, I have to move from house to house. Yes. Or perhaps I have to go to a farm, I have to go to the village square to say, oh, I need yam, who has got yam? And then they'll come and exchange there. Now, internet has provided that mediating point where people who have extra can say I have extra, and those that have need can say they have need. And then through the power of data, I can verify the two entities and then I can merge them together. I have a house, and this house has got 3 extra rooms, and nobody's there. Mm-hmm. So there is somebody that is traveling to where I am who needs a room. Mm-hmm. So through this platform, we can show people who have got 3 houses. You are traveling, you can check, look at the house. Through data, I can know how close the house is to me. I can hear what others who have been to that particular house or that room and what they want to say, whether the house was good, whether it has good ventilation, all those data are there. And this individual whose data is also available because I can track him so that I also ensure some security that I'm not bringing someone that is strange to your house. There's a data about this person, that this person has stayed in other places and it did not cause a trouble. And of course, all these are also powered by the fact that we also transfer money through the power of connection. So somebody who has never, you have never met before, will come to your house, feel at home, and go. And then this person has spent 1/4 of what he or she would have spent in a traditional brick and mortar hotel. But more importantly, the person has felt at home. Because even before you get there, you have also read the profile of the person you are staying with. The person says, I have dogs, I'm this person, I'm that person. I recall holiday that my family did some times ago, around Washington. We stayed with an Indian family. It was so much fun. When my kids and my wife, when they were leaving, because I left ahead of them, they were like, oh my God, we don't want to leave. Because the man arranged dinner for them, cooked some nice Indian food for them. They have so much fun. It comes because it comes down at different times to ask them how you guys feeling. It was beyond the insular nature of hotel. You felt at home. Right. Yeah. We connected, it was fun, it was real. What has made that possible is the power of 2 things: data-driven platforms. And the fact that we can collect more data and make informed decisions quickly about people's requests. Yep. And the fact that we can match those who have and those who don't have. The same principle for cars. A car is moving in a direction, someone in the car. Remember many years ago, when you need to go anywhere in Lagos, you go to the road, you go to the junction of the road, you start praying and hoping that one yellow vehicle will pass. But praying. And this may take you 15, 20 minutes, wasting your time in a hot, sunny day, wasting your time. And by the time you see one coming, you are praying, God, don't let anyone be inside this, this taxi. And the taxi comes, there's somebody there. You just say, wait, I'll come back. And you're there. Sometimes you can be there for 3 hours.
Yeah, that is new.
Now you don't have to
Another
waste your
experience.
time. Just pick your phone. It tells you exactly the closest vehicle to you. You book it, it comes pick you. You know, and then there are people who get home on time, like 5 p.m. You still want to be. I tell you, I've joined Uber. You know, that was driven by a professional, a very old professional, a respected doctor who did not want to feel lonely because all the kids have grown up. They've all gone to school. He felt, come on, I can do 1 hour because I want to meet people.
Yeah.
So you see how the power of integrating our life to training economy has actually increased quality of life for people because they're able to meet new people while driving and they feel happy. They get, and that's why in more developed economy, you see women doing Uber. Out of, I just want to meet people. I mean, people who are 65 years old, you know,
Yeah.
retired professors, retired doctors, and you know, exchanging their views and all that, making life better and making, you know, reason for living. And that for me is the whole theorem of sharing economy. That in sharing is living, because what is not enough is made available to others who have got excess. And we have a platform that bridges it, and there is data that allows for accountability and trust through a very secure collective system.
Thank you very much. Because I went further and I was reading, you talk about one of the titles, like the future disrupted by sharing, fast forward to 2030. And then you talk about reflecting, you know, you look back at where we were and where we are today. And you cited examples like crowdfunding. I bought my hotel and my apartment through crowdfunding, which is something we've been doing for a while, you know. And I didn't have to worry about the big interest of the bank. And we begin to reflect, why did we ever need the banks? You know, and information is now available to everybody, which means that they prospered because of the information that they had that wasn't available to every other person. And in today's data-driven world, information is everywhere. And then we're thinking now what to do with our money. Do I want to keep it in a bank and get them rich, or do I want to put my money somewhere else? Very interesting stuff. I think it's a book everybody should read. I learned a lot of stuff from it. It was very insightful. It makes you think about, you want to start a business, makes you think about, so what direction do I want to go? I should think about the future and build my business towards that, looking at the information that is available for me in the future. So you talked about, I think this is our final question. You talked about your foundation is doing with universities across Nigeria. And my question is, what do students need to know to get signed up in your boot camps? And what would you say to youths who want to chart a career in AI?
Thank you very much. I think the first thing I would like to say is that at a time, you know, people just talk maths, English, and all that. But now it's maths, English, and AI. Why? Because it's going to be the language of the future. Basic coding and intelligent living will shape our life. So I tell everyone that it's not about, I want to become a nurse, a doctor, a farmer, whatever you want to be. The same way I cannot communicate without English. So I don't have to be an English language expert to learn English. A doctor must be able to speak good English. The same way, every other discipline must be able to speak the language of data. Why? The future world, or what we call the fourth industrial revolution that we're saying, is going to be shaped by data. So for a student who want to learn, understand that this is critical to your future. That sense of urgency is very important, because or else you'll pick it and drop it. When there's a sense of urgency that this is critical to shaping what I become tomorrow, then it drives you. I get my own story. I had to leave an executive role to go back to school. You know, so you must be radical about building skill of the future, because people won't understand you. So you must be very intentional, you know, about it. Number two, we have a lot of training programs. If you Google Data Science Nigeria, we are based in Nigeria, but we run a lot of virtual trainings. Interestingly, we have students as far as US who have bought our books, as far as India who are connecting to our content. We even have students in Europe who are, because it's now virtualized. You know, of course, we have physical boot camps, which will resume after COVID has subsided. But now we run all our classes online. Of course, we also have free content that we make available. If you go to our YouTube, you can actually start your journey of learning. Now, for those in school, we run what we call AI plus clubs. So we're in about 40 cities and universities in Nigeria, actually about 42. We call it AI plus. So, and the reason for that is that AI plus, whatever you are doing, will give you your future. So it's a community of students and practitioners who come together to learn, because sometimes when you learn with others, it accelerates your learning and it keeps you accountable. So we'll encourage people to either search for our videos to learn, and of course, they can also join this community. And then, if they can also make it to our boot camp are all expense paid. They are fully residential, but they are quite intense to get into. You must be extremely brilliant to get it. Because most of the students who have been to our boot camp, from the boot camp, they get their jobs. Banks come in, consulting firms, top companies come to pick them. Because if you make it to the boot camp, out of thousands, then it means you are good enough. Which for me is a validation that if a student invests in building data science, AI skill, or embedding it into whatever they're doing, they stand a higher chance of getting a future job, especially as AI is getting embedded in every discipline, whether it's medicine, whether it's pharmacy, whether it's surveying, AI is shaping the future. And he or she who has the additional skill set stand at a huge advantage to command a larger share of the future. And that will be my story to them. Go for it, go the extra mile.
Thank you, Bayo. I've learned so much. I'm sure everybody has. Thank you for what you're doing. It takes a man with character to sit down, look at himself, and say, "I don't want it to stop with me. I want people to know what I know because I know that's the future." So thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. And thank you for this boot camp that I'm sure is changing thousands and thousands of lives. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. My name is Olubayo Adekanmbi. I'm a data scientist and AI professional. That is my hustle. What is your hustle?
Exciting time with Dr. Lubayo, understanding how data shapes our future and how it should inform our decisions for the future. Get informed. Information is the future. Information is power. And Dr. Lubayo is sharing that with us. We do appreciate him for it. Click on the notification bell if you have subscribed. If you haven't, please do subscribe. Stay tuned as we bring more Ninja Hustlers your way. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, all at Ninja Hustle. You know what we say? What's your hustle?